When you're staring at a stack of paperwork and wondering whether a scanner is worth the space it will take on your desk, the decision can feel a lot like buying a car you'll never drive every day. You want something that will actually speed up the workflow, not just sit there gathering dust. And you're also wary of blowing a budget on a machine that ends up being more trouble than it's worth. That's the exact mindset I was in before I started looking into heavy-duty document scanners for a small but busy office. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Fujitsu FI7600 is marketed as a professional scanner that can gulp through large piles of A4 landscape documents without choking. On paper, it promises up to 100 pages per minute, a 300 sheet feeder, and a straight paper path that's supposed to keep jams to a minimum. Those numbers look impressive, but the real question is how they translate when you're actually scanning invoices, contracts, or thin plastic ID cards day after day. First, let's talk about speed in context. 100 pages per minute only matters if you have a continuous flow of material to feed. In my own experience, the typical office workflow consists of bursts, maybe a half hour of scanning a batch of purchase orders, then a lull while the team processes the data. The FI7600's ability to maintain that 100 ppm rate for a full 300 sheet load means you can clear a typical morning backlog in under 10 minutes. That's a tangible time saver compared to a desktop scanner that would need to be stopped and refed every few dozen sheets. If you're the kind of user who deals with high-volume inbound mail, legal filings, or a steady stream of scanned receipts, that throughput can actually free up a chunk of your day. The 300 sheet feeder is another point where the FI7600 distinguishes itself from lower-end models. Most office scanners I've seen cap out at 150 sheets, which forces you to pause every few minutes to reload. With the FI7600, you can load a full stack of contracts and walk away while the machine does the work. The straight paper path design is meant to reduce the risk of document damage, and in practice that does hold up. I've run thin, glossy invoices through it and the paper didn't curl or jam. The paper protection function seems to adjust the feed speed for delicate sheets, which is a relief if you regularly scan things like laminated certificates or thin plastic IDs. That feature alone can save you the frustration of rescanning damaged originals. Now, the upside isn't the whole story. The scanner is built for A4 landscape documents, which is fine for most business paperwork, but it does mean you'll hit a wall if you need to scan larger formats like legal size, 8.514, or oversized engineering drawings. There's also the matter of thickness. While the machine handles thin paper well, it's not a heavy-duty sheet-fed press for cardstock or bound books. If your workflow includes a lot of thick brochures or bound reports, you'll need to manually feed those, which slows things down and defeats the purpose of a high-speed feeder. So, the strength in handling delicate, thin documents is also a hidden limitation for heavier stock. Price is another factor that often trips people up. The FI7600 sits in a higher price bracket than entry-level scanners, reflecting its industrial-grade components and speed. For a solo entrepreneur who scans a few dozen pages a week, that investment is hard to justify. The real value appears when the scanner is used close to its capacity. Think of a law firm, an accounting office, or a medical records department where hundreds of pages move through each day. In those environments, the time saved quickly offsets the upfront cost, especially when you consider the hidden expenses of paper damage, rescanning, and employee downtime. The user interface is clean and straightforward. There's a modest LCD panel that lets you pick scan resolution, color mode, and destination, PDF, TIFF, or direct to a network folder. It's not a touchscreen, but the button layout is intuitive enough that you don't need to spend a half hour reading a manual. That simplicity is a plus for teams that rotate who operates the scanner. You won't find a steep learning curve that slows down adoption. One practical weakness I noticed is the noise level. When the feeder is pulling in a full 300 sheet stack, the motor hum rises to a level that can be heard across a small office. It's not deafening, but it's something to consider if you have an open-plan workspace or need a quiet environment for client calls. Some reviewers have pointed out that the scanner's ventilation fans can be a little loud during extended runs. If you need a truly silent solution, you might have to look at a slower, more isolated unit. Connectivity is decent but not exhaustive. The FI7600 offers USB 3.0 and Ethernet, which covers most office networks. However, there's no built-in Wi-Fi, so you'll need to run a cable or place the scanner near a network hub. For a modern,